today. Together, we can help end poverty for good.
Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 31, Saturday sunny with a high near 53, and Sunday sunny with a high near 54. From bold Szechuan flavors to tender Peking Mandarin classics, the Great Wall Restaurant offers something for everyone. Try favorites like the Mushu pork and beef and broccoli. The Great Wall Restaurant is located at 4515 France Avenue, and their full menu is available at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken.
Casual Friday. Casual Friday. Casual Friday on GhostBox Radio.
And it is Casual Friday here in GhostBox Radio, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for spending the last vestige of Friday night hanging out with us as we ease into the weekend. And it's I'm greatly looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. And I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you for joining us tonight. And meanwhile, over in Eden Prairie, we have Adam, as usual, doing what he does, very Adam-y sort of things. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
Doing well, and glad we're wrapping up the final full week before a short week next week for hopefully most of our listeners out there.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, and I know that there's always going to be some folks out there that are having to put in extra time with their jobs and doing, every job is different, but hopefully folks are able to get some kind of break of some kind and be able to enjoy Thanksgiving with their family. As far as for us, we will be doing shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be the rarity Casual Wednesday. That's what that's all about, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm gonna give you all just a little bit of homework for Casual Wednesday, because I'll tell you that it's not a question of the week. It's just going to be, I want to know from people what they're thankful for. Let's talk about it. And it could be something. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be a major story. And it could be somebody. Let's remember those folks that we're just and situations that we're thankful for. And I personally have plenty. So that's the homework. That's something that you can think about over the weekend and into next week as we get ready to wrap her up for Thanksgiving break. Tonight, of course, being Chicken Wing Friday. As I left the station today, I told Adam I'm going over to Wingstop to get some chicken and stuff. I haven't been over to Wingstop in a long time. Adam, the thing I was most impressed with is that after ordering it online to pick up in Eden Prairie, I was most impressed that I didn't get in my car and drive back to St. Michael, because I consider that to be a very viable situation, to be perfectly honest. Like, after I order, and it wasn't cheap, and that's not, I mean, you get a lot of food. You really do get a lot of food. And after all that, being like, all right, Adam, see you tonight. I'll talk to you later tonight, and get in my car and just go back to St. Michael and pull into my garage and think, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And to be like, no, so
sadly, the wife and I have technically done that. We were here in the metro. We were in Bloomington, and it's like, well, we're going to grab Papa Murphy's on the way home. So pull open the phone, look up Papa Murphy's. Didn't realize it said Papa Murphy's closest to you when we put in the order. So we drive all the way back to Robbinsdale Crystal, swing into the Robbinsdale Papa Murphy's that we thought we had placed the order. No, we placed it at the Bloomington one.
I've done that for Culver's. Instead of the Albertville one, which is the one nearby me, I put it in for Rogers once. And because I was, number one, as you may know, I'm lazy. Number two, it's just like, it's just so much work. So I reordered again. So meaning I'm paying twice for it. And I go over to Albertville. The one in Rogers starts calling me, and I'm not answering the phone. And it's like, go away. And it keeps calling me. And I'm like, go away. And it keeps calling me. I'm like, go away. Just go, Culver's, go away. I don't want your food. So yeah, people have real issues in their lives, and mine is revolve around fast food. It's a very sad commentary, to be perfectly honest.
Well,
this is what happens when you don't have friends or a girlfriend or anything. They're like weird.
I was going to say, next you can just film a Super Size Me style of documentary going through all your fast foods.
Yeah, no kidding. Gosh, yeah, that didn't go well for him. That's for sure.
No,
it really didn't. I mean, I don't know what you expected when you sign on for when you decide to do a documentary like that. It's not going to be a happy ending. So you're not going to be like, oh, look, I actually am super healthy and lost 45 pounds. No, you are now going to die.
Yeah, I would have hired people and then put them into like a study for the documentary instead of doing it myself.
You'd go to jail.
I probably would.
That'd be like, you can't treat humans like this. Yes, I can. So yeah, no.
The value menu tells me I can.
Ronald McDonald spoke to me. So yeah. Folks, we got a question of the week because tomorrow is the 62nd anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I did an episode earlier this week about the Zapruder film. I recommend you checking it out, both the Zapruder film and my radio episode, because I think it turned out pretty well. But tonight's question of the week is: did the shot that killed President John F. Kennedy come from Lee Harvey Oswald? I'd love to know your thoughts. Put it into the comments or give us a call whenever you want. But that's the question of the week. That's what we're talking about. A very themed question of the week for anniversary that's coming up here momentarily. Now, tonight, I find out that Adam, you seem to have had a mini paranormal investigation and incident over at the station.
Yeah, tonight was interesting. So after you took off, I finished up what I was doing, go upstairs, and I'm going to hit the restroom and things like that. And I walk upstairs, and the upstairs here of the building is actually colder than the downstairs, which is usually the opposite effect. And I'm just thought, oh, that's interesting. I guess we don't have the heat on or whatnot. So I go into the restroom, doing my business. And across the hall from the men's restroom is the women's restroom. And the door was always kind of cracked open when no one else is here. And as I'm in the men's restroom, I hear the women's door close. I hear it shut. So I finish what I'm doing. I run back down here. And as horrible of an influence as Greg has been on my life, I grab the spirit box I have that I carry in my backpack now, and had a brief little spirit box session and did get a few answers. And I will share those answers with the with our audience here. Let me get a little bit of a light source. It looks very much illuminated in here. It is not. So
what you need to do, Adam, is you need to have some papers on hand and just rustle them. So it sounds like that you have like copious notes and stuff. Let me get to my 45 pages of notes I took.
Yeah, I've only got only took a handful of notes of some of the more pertinent question and answers. At one point, I asked them, "Do you normally listen to us here at the station?" It says many times.
Spirit Box says many times.
And then one of the other questions I asked was, "Well, do you guys stay here?" And I had an answer that said, "We don't." And then I had another question, and I'm like, "Do you have any information? Do you have any messages to pass along to Greg and I?" And this was my favorite one. I got a meow.
Oh, do you think it's this guy on screen?
I honestly, to be honest with you, I think we do. I think it is. I really do think it's Linus.
Yeah. Yeah. And at some point, if we have time, I want to talk about the dream I told you guys about on Wednesday when Shar and you and I talked afterwards. But so if we have time, we'll talk about that later. So did you get any other, ask any other questions?
One of the other questions I did ask, and what I thought was the answer was "we here." And the question I'd ask is, do you appreciate what happens at night at this station? And I got "we here." So I'm taking that as HEAR.
They listen.
Yeah. And not "we here" as in HERE as we're here. So those were the kind of the neat ones that I got, but it never fails. I'll ask what's your name? Where are you from? And never get answers to those.
Were the answers that are coming through with the English answers, was that male or female?
They were all male. And I was sweeping on the FM dial since we are setting in an AM station.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, that's really cool. Very cool, actually. And then when you said, do you listen to us? Did you say the answer was not between 3 and 5 p.m.? Is that what?
Oh, yeah, that one too. I didn't want to put that one out there, but apparently they don't like 3 to 5. I don't know why. Daylight savings time, sun goes down earlier. Not sure, but that was interesting. And like I said, you've become a horrible influence, and there's a backpack that I carry pretty much everywhere, and in that front pouch, as for the last year or so, has been an SB7.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's cool. Now, when the door shut, because obviously I'm very familiar with the building as you are. So the door is kind of on one of those things that is it has a graceful shut to it, right? Or does the women's bathroom not? Because the men's bathroom, I mean, I'm just being nice by calling it men's and women's bathroom. But that's more of a hard shut on it, even though it should have that arm that gives it grace. But that one, so is the women's like that too, or is that more of a graceful shut to it?
That's more of a graceful shut. For it to click and latch like it did, it has to be pulled all the way shut.
So that means there has to be pressure to it.
Yeah, so that's what I heard was the door shut and the click of the doorknob on the women's bathroom. On the men's bathroom, we just have to push it.
Do you have any thoughts or theories as to why the women's bathroom door was shut? Do you think that was specifically to get your attention?
I think it was because the obvious temperature difference didn't. I was just like, oh, maybe I need to turn the heat up when I go back downstairs.
Yeah.
And I said it out loud. It's like, oh, I should probably turn the heat up. Because just in case, so that they know I didn't get the message.
Right. Well, and if it's too cold in there, the snakes will die. I mean,
and Percy must live.
He must live another day. Well, I mean, luckily we're dealing with the flies now, whatever that's about. Even I don't know if you even heard Matt today. You guys, what's up with all the flies?
Yeah, and Yeah, as he's walking through my little cubby hole of an office to go into the studio, he says, "Yo, all the flies," and I'm like, "Well, now we need an old priest and a young priest. We've all seen The Exorcist."
Yeah, well, I did hear you say that actually. Well, I mean, and you said it a couple weeks back that one day it smelled like that something died in there. That's my guess is where those lovely friends have come from is from
Oh,
that.
I'm sure. I'm
So
gonna I'm gonna imagine there's an animal stuck in a wall somewhere, or a Patrick, one or the other.
well, we've seen Patrick relatively recently. So there was concern when he was on vacation, and we just didn't know. We didn't know if he was truly on vacation or not. But I want to get back to your mini investigation, because that is really cool. First of all, you got some cool responses, and being able to have that moment. I mean, folks, what Adam doesn't say here is that he's in the building by himself. So
Yeah.
there is no way, there's absolutely no way for it to be like, well, maybe it's so and so that did blah blah blah. No, 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 no. It is 100% him in there by himself.
Yeah, for the most part, by 7:30 up until I leave, no one else is here. And like tomorrow, I'll be the first one back in the building.
Because you just love it so much.
Love this place.
It's like I can't have enough.
You never leave.
So I mean that, folks, I mean that's the thing. That is so cool. I mean, I'm jealous, first of all. I think that is so awesome. And I just that's the thing. And if you haven't listened to us this week, I talked about the Zapruder on Monday or Tuesday, actually. You got to go back to our Wednesday show when we had Shar and Adam both talking about the Halloween investigation at the Pillsbury Club. But what we also talked about was what Adam was experiencing with paranormal activity at the station that night as well. And it started early for him, and it went throughout the night. You got to really check that out because it's very cool. And I think, Adam, at some point we got to do, and we have permission to do so, a live paranormal investigation of the station itself.
I think that would be fantastic, because there are a couple of spots here in the station. One of them being the conference room that always seems very, very lively. And then on the other side of your office, that storage room always seems to be something coming out of that, whether it be a noise or just a weird energy.
And of course, all the weird crap I have in my office. And I'm still planning on mounting a Ouija board on the wall in there, and I'm sure that's going to go over super well. So a friend of mine, I'm not going to name him because he probably doesn't want to be named. He reached out to me yesterday, and he might be listening, actually. Reached out to me yesterday, and he's like, someone sent me a Ouija board. I didn't ask for it. Everyone I talk to says that they did not send it. I don't want it. What do I do with it? Do I burn it? And I was like, no, you don't burn those. So me being smart as I always am, I said, I'll take it off your hands. And I'll take it. I'll bind it. I will sage it before I bring it in. But as you know, Adam, I have a bit of a collection of them. So that could be the station's Ouija board. Wouldn't that go over well?
Was there no return address, or was it one of the Milton Bradley ones, or?
It was it's like a Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley sort of thing. Yeah. And that, and for those who are like, well, it's one of those store-bought ones, folks, that's the brand. The Parker Brothers one was the brand that I used that precipitated that voicemail message. So don't be snooty about the brand of Ouija board. It can, it's, as long as it has all the letters in your planchette, it's still a Ouija board. You could take a piece of paper and write it all the letters out exactly how it is, and have something like a cup or something as your planchette. That's a Ouija board. That's all it is.
Heck, even table tipping back in early UK in the 1800s, that was essentially a Ouija board.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I said, I'll take it off your hands. And he's just like, you can almost feel like, all right. So, it's like, finally getting my life back in order. And here I am, bringing some more haunted stuff in, what do we know? Or I could put it on the wall behind me. That we don't have anything on this wall that we can
See, I still think you need to put the Ouija board on the front of your office door. That or a scrying mirror. One of the two would keep everyone out.
I don't know if I ever showed you. I don't know if I have it on this computer. I'm probably on my newer computer, which I don't use for this. I have my my sign that I created for GhostBox Radio for the office door, which basically is a do I have it? No, I'll take a look during break to see if I have it, because it's just like GhostBox Radio, but as a Ouija board, which is kind of fun. I think it's fun. Other people are like, you're creeping me out. It's like, that's fine. That's what I'm here for. Question of the week when we get back. The question of the week is as follows, because it is the 62nd anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The question I have, and it's really interesting reading the responses already. Did the shot that killed President John F. Kennedy come from Lee Harvey Oswald? And this isn't a question about, is it a conspiracy? This is a question of amongst, whether there's 3 people, 5 people, or 1 person, did that shot, was it Lee Harvey Oswald that pulled the shot that actually ended the life of President John F. Kennedy? That's what I'd love your opinion on. Put your answers into the comments or give us a call, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We're doing Casual Friday here. We're easing into the weekend. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Greg Bakken here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Are you one of thousands of individuals who know you have psychic abilities but don't know how to tap into your higher self? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Casual Friday. Casual Friday. Casual Friday on GhostBox Radio.
And it is Casual Friday here as we ease ourselves into the weekend. I'm really looking forward to this, to be honest. What a week. Just It's always here's a cryptid message for you all. It's always good to know where April is during the year. Let's just leave it at that, and we'll just know that it's, gosh almighty, it's time. It's time for a drink or 200. Monday. So today I just did an interview with a dear friend of mine who's in Canada, Morgan Knutson. I am going to be on an episode of Supernatural Circumstances this coming Monday. That's when the podcast drops. I will put that into all of my social medias. It was a great conversation today because we did a very deep dive on CE5 alien communication, concept of human initiated communication with extraterrestrial intelligence, often involving it's time to go home, meditation and specific protocols. Boy, that was tough, Adam. That was time. Is thankfully this isn't live, right? I mean, that's the main thing. That
why don't we go ahead and run that one back again, and we'll cut it in post.
Right, exactly. No, thankfully this is only the dress rehearsal, and that the it's actually, no, this is live, actually. Do you know it's live? I certainly didn't.
I had no idea our show was live. Wow.
Joanne says Canada is where I live. Well, yes. So I have 2 friends in Canada. Let's just put it that way. That's exciting. So yeah, check it out. It was a great conversation, and Morgan is fantastic. We're going to have her on sometime in December to talk about guardian angels, and just going to really go on about all sorts of stuff with that sometime in December. Before we get into things too, I just got to say, our dear friends Deb and Dave, Refined Divine. Well, I've been enjoying looking at their pictures, being at the Mayan ruins. They're on their cruise. We've been talking about this for about a year, and it's finally happening. They're out there, and it sounds like a great time. I just want to remind folks that you can go to refineddivinepsychic.com, and even though they are having their stuff going on the cruise, they're going to be back next week. I'm knowing them. They have a full lineup of stuff going on. You could check out classes, everything else that they have going on, or you can schedule a reading, and there's many different ways to do readings with Deb as well. So you want to go and take a look at that. Also go to Refined Divine Psychic Medium on Facebook, and that's always where Deb puts all of the shows that she's appearing in. So you'll be able to go out and see her at all these shows and get readings and get what you need from her. They're great shows, and if you haven't done so, consider doing so, because the energy at these places are fantastic. So you want to definitely do that. So once again, that's refineddivinepsychic.com. And make sure that you go there. And if you do get readings from her and stuff, it'd be great if you just let her know that you heard about it through our show, because we always want to make sure that our friends and partners know that we're supporting them as much as possible. So we have that going. Now, tonight's question of the week: did the shot that killed President John F. Kennedy come from Lee Harvey Oswald? So it's kind of a double-edged question, so to speak, because it's not only about it's not really about conspiracy. It's like, out of all those gunshots that we think that there were, and other people think there is only from one shooter, was it his that did it? And does that eliminate all the other stuff, like the impossible trajectory of some of these bullets if they did come from the Texas Book Depository? So, Adam, you answered the question. Why don't you answer it here?
Yeah, I don't think his was the shot that did it. I think that there were multiple gunmen. I'm not going to say it was from the grassy knoll or whatnot, but from Oswald's military record, the style of shots he had to get off, the precision that he got those shots off in, I don't think he shot. I think he was a part of it, but I don't think any of his bullets were the one that got Kennedy. I think it's the best way to put it.
Right. Now we have some answers here tonight. So let's go through some of these on during my Facebook. And feel free, folks, to put your answers, your thoughts. There are no wrong answers. Okay, let's be very clear about this. There are no wrong answers here. And you feel free to give us a call, 952-946-6205, if you want to just chat about it on air for a couple minutes. But going over some of the answers that we got earlier, Jeremy, who I saw in the comments tonight, says, once again, the question being, did the shot that killed President John F. Kennedy come from Lee Harvey Oswald? Jeremy says, I don't believe so. I don't think it was a conspiracy. I do think it was a conspiracy because of angle the shot compared to where he was. He probably took one shot, but the kill shot, I believe, did not come from him. Kelly says, hell no. And, you know, Kelly, such language at a Friday night of all things. She says, hell no. Mafia hit all the way, and LBJ was aware. So, and I want to do a program at some point, get someone on who can really talk about the LBJ connection as well. Let's see here. Rama says Lee Harvey Oswald was a fall guy. He did not shoot the president. So far, not one person thinks that Oswald did the shot. Anne says, nope, not him. Just nope. Deborah says, nope, it was the CIA. Amber says, I think it was James Files, which I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is?
I
meant to look that up.
Yeah, I've never heard of James Files.
Because
I will Google that on the side here.
I'm just doing that right now too. James Files was also known as James Sutton, is an American former prisoner in 1994 while serving a 50-year sentence for the 1991 attempted murder of 2 police officers. Files gave interviews stating that he was the Grassy Knoll shooter in the 1963 assassination United States President John F. Kennedy. So he was born in 1942. He was 19. He was 19 when that happened. He is now 83 years old. And so very, very interesting there, Amber, by saying it's James Files. It's, you know, not a name I really hear, to be honest. I mean, with all the stuff that I watch and talk, I would have thought I would have heard his name before, but maybe I'm just woefully ignorant in all things, including Grassy Knoll, I guess. I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
We learned something new tonight, don't we?
Yeah, and apparently there was a flick put out in 2024 called The Files on JFK. They bring him up. I think I may have to peep that one out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. You and I were talking, you brought up the VHS of JFK.
Yeah.
Watching it.
Oliver Stone flick,
and where the Donald Sutherland bit ends is the end of the first tape. It's funny what we remember, isn't it?
Yeah, because that was always, now I got to get up and put it in. I didn't, it was, this was before DVDs where you could have like the multiple DVD player. Like I think Pioneer had one in the late 90s. Yeah, no, I had VHS until like the early 2000s. Well,
and I had Laserdisc, so the turning of the disc was much more often because it only held, like, depending on what speed it was, it could only maybe hold up to like 30 to 45 minutes per side.
Mm-hmm.
But now the question is, of course, did the shot that killed President John F. Kennedy come from Lee Harvey Oswald? Let's see here. Jim says wasn't born yet. Okay.
Right on.
you could still have an opinion, I mean, it's just like, I mean, that's great. It's like, yeah, if I wasn't born, I'm not gonna talk to you about it.
And if it was before I was born, it never happened.
Yeah, exactly. Never. I was gonna say something that would have come off really, really poorly. So we're just gonna keep I'm censoring myself live on the air. Let's see here. Maureen says Lee Harvey Oswald did not fire the shot that killed John F. Kennedy. It was set up by the mafia or government or both. She's covering all angles with this one. It was a tragic day in America history. Imagine if it never happened. what would America look like now? Interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
It would. I think it would have taken a different turn if he would have had another 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's see here. You answered. Then Christy says, I heard a new one that it actually came from the driver of his car. That has been debunked, though, because if you look at the Zapruder film, there's the driver does some sort of movement. He looks back, and for a little bit, people are thinking that he actually had a gun with him, and that when he turned back, he shot JFK, which accounts for why people think that it looks like that he was shot, more head on, frontal than in the back, right? And that's been debunked. That I mean, not so much that the bullet theory of hitting him in front, but that it was a driver. That just never happened. It's interesting though, and for when it came out, I think because they got a much better scan of the Zapruder film, and they're like, oh my God, he's the one that did it. And it's like, no, it's not actually. So I'm glad she put that in there though, because, and I did say there are no wrong answers, but Christy, that one's wrong. So, when I say stuff like that, what's going to happen is that years from now, and I'll still be alive, they're going to decide, they're going to be able to come out and say, yeah, it was actually the shooter. So once again, I'm wrong. That's, they're going to be like, no, it was the shooter. It was the driver. So,
well, I always remember too the magic bullet theory.
Yes. That Kevin Costner so eloquently showed us in the film JFK.
Oh yeah, with the 10 minutes of back and to the left, back and to the left.
Yep.
And then there was the frozen bullet theory at one point too, if you remember that one.
Yes, I do.
And I know that one got debunked. But
here's the reality though. No matter what someone comes out with and says, and say that someone is able to prove it, like visually prove it, if they found like a recording of something that was just, indisputable, people are still not going to believe it.
Oh, you're absolutely
This is something that no one's ever, this is something no one's ever going to agree on. So.
No, we could have the ghost of Kennedy come back and be like, here's who shot me. And people be like, AI.
Hey, I've been watching a lot of Bob Barker lately on TikTok. So yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. Rick, who you may have heard on such shows as Connections, he wrote, aside from many documentaries, one recent one in 2023 about this was Rob Reiner and Soledad O'Brien, Who Killed JFK, which I've been meaning to see, but also am hesitant since it's such a devastating event that I recall with ongoing grief. And it's so funny. It's not funny because Rick is clearly a kind soul. And you and I are like, we're gonna find these documentaries and hopefully we can get some really, really graphic footage in them. That's kind of where you and I are at, unfortunately.
That's why he's on an uplifting show called Connections Radio on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. here on AM 950, and we're on GhostBox Radio.
And you're stuck on GhostBox. So, and then one final one, Joanne just puts into the comments, maybe ask Miriam. Yeah, and that's what I don't think. I don't know either, and because and it's interesting because in our next segment, I want to talk about Jody Huisentruit. I also want to give an update on the whole Jason Hawes thing. But the reason I bring up Jody Huisentruit is because that was something that Miriam and I are going to work on, and she had been doing her own research on that as well. We'll talk about that. So why don't we go ahead and get our second break in here. When we come back, we're going to talk about some recent information about Jody Huisentruit, who had been missing for 30 years. Give an update about the Conjuring House. Once again, folks, if you have any answers that you want to give for our question of the week, you're more than welcome to do so. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Casual Friday. Casual Friday. Casual Friday on GhostBox Radio.
As we are kind of edging our way into the weekend, I hope everyone is going to have a great time. We are in Casual Friday here, and it's been a lot of fun. I just want to say also next week, I don't have my lineup completely set yet because it's kind of hard to get people the week of Thanksgiving. So probably looking at 2 Just Greg episodes. One of them I want to talk about spirit communication with loved ones. We've talked about it before, but it's always good to talk about. And then we're going to do what we're going to call Casual Wednesday, as that's our last episode of the week. And we're gonna kind of focus on what are we all thankful for, and would love you all to take part in that. So I'll keep track of my social media outlets, and we'll explain how to kind of take part in that, because I would love to know what people are thankful for, because it's I think humbling for all of us to be aware of what keeps us going, and I really hope that many of you out there are feeling that there is something to be thankful for out there. So we want to talk about that. A couple things here going on. So we talked a little bit about Miriam the last segment here, and because it was weird, because I had asked her about a year or so ago to come on the show and we could talk about Jody Husentrud. For those who don't know, she is or she was an anchor over in Mason City, Iowa, and she had disappeared 30 years ago in July. Absolutely no leads over the past 30 years that are credible enough to help solve this mystery. And back in August, I had on somebody from from Finding Jody and their site, and we talked about all the stuff that that they've gone through as an organization to help find her. Unfortunately, obviously, it does, it's tough because there hasn't been anything new yet for that, but it's an incredible story, an incredible conversation. It's kind of sad though, in a way. Once we did that episode, the gentleman who I had on had said, let me know when I can come on again. And the sad part about this simply was that there isn't really a whole lot more to talk about because there hasn't been movement on the case in 30 years. But the good news is that people are still working to try to find out what happened to Jody Huisentruit. And so just the other day, literally yesterday, an article came out from KAAL and said, "Find Jody. Mason City Police return to Winstead, Minnesota in search for Jody Huisentruit." According to the Find Jody team, the Mason City Police Department returned to Winstead, Minnesota for another search tied to the disappearance of Jody Huisentruit. Acting Chief Mike McKelvey said that investigators followed up on a tip at a Winstead property where a house was recently torn down. Crews used cadaver dogs and heavy equipment to dig in areas of interest, but found nothing. It is the second time Winstead was the subject of an investigation tied to Huisentrut's disappearance. In November 2024, a tip led investigators to a property in the city, which also turned up nothing. And as it says here, and I'm going to read this part to it as well, anyone with information on Jody's case should contact the Mason City Police Department at 641-421-3636, 641-421-3636, or email Iowa DCI Special Agent Ryan Herman at rherman@dps.state.ia.us. That's rherman@dps.state.ia.us. And I'm trying to find here where on earth, because I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name that we had on talking about Find Jody, and I cannot find where that episode is because we had him on and I do not find any reference to it between August and September. It is so weird. It is so weird that I cannot find this. So I wonder if I'm even going as far back as I thought, but we have so many episodes, Adam. It's really hard actually sometimes to keep up with when someone's been on, strangely enough.
Yeah, well, when you go every night, that is kind of an issue. I wonder though, in the two previous leads, if they used any like ground penetrating radar to look in the properties.
I had thought that it's a very good chance that they did, only because they had that stuff, that equipment that could dig deep. That was my thought, at least.
Yeah, because it almost feels like that would be the next logical step, is to do something, in that realm.
I would think so.
Yeah, because a lot of times, digging is going to do great, but, are you going down as far as you need? Are you in the right spot? That's why I think, and granted, though, ground penetrating radar takes a lot of man hours. So maybe they had to hold that off if they didn't do it because of the age of the case.
It could very well be. I mean, it's so incredible. And someone who works at our station, KTNF AM 950, she was also an anchor at the station in Mason City, not at the same time, but afterwards. So, I mean, and from what I understand, fairly close after Jody had disappeared. So, and there's a great documentary on Hulu about Jody's disappearance, and people who were good friends with her still work at that station, and they recall stuff. It's just, I can imagine that day, how it started out, that no one would imagine that 30 years later, this is where they'd be at. It's incredible. But the thing that keeps giving me hope, actually, Adam, is Jason Wetterling, his killer was found, and that was another one that I just thought, oh my gosh, we'll never know how this one went. And finally that family, at the very least, and this is all that the Husentrud family, I'm sure, wants now, is closure, please. Just closure.
And I think that's what most people would want in that situation. Thank God I've never been put in that situation where, a loved one has been missing or anything like that. But I do imagine that closure would be the biggest thing, because at this point, you've definitely put to bed the fact that Jody's never coming back. She's never coming home.
No.
But to at least be able to give her a funeral, give her, a send off the way anybody should get. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What's interesting in that documentary on Hulu, which is actually produced by a production company here in the Twin Cities, they interview throughout the program one of her best friends growing up, and at the end of the documentary, she's being interviewed, and she said, recently I had a dream about Jody that I was on a stage and she came and joined me, and we were just sitting on a stage and we were just talking as if catching up after all these years. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not a dream. That is not a dream. That's Jody. I guarantee that's Jody.
I just got the chills from you saying that. That's
Isn't
even
it?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? And people might be like, well, why didn't she say who did this to her? And it's like, maybe because, and I don't know how things work, but maybe because energy is so strong to do something like that, that maybe she didn't want to take the time of like, this is who took care of me, but instead to be able to reunite with a friend,
Mm-hmm. And there's always that possibility that Jody didn't even know who did it.
I think that's totally a big possibility as well. It's totally a big possibility. So yeah, no, 100%. You know what time it is?
What time is that?
It's our weekly check-in of how I helped Jason Haas buy a house.
Woo-hoo!
And I know, right? Every time I do this, I know I'm making people angry. But since we've gone this far, I want to be able to just kind of talk about what we know so far. So basically, the mortgage note, the house isn't sold, but the mortgage note is held by Elton Casty's entity, Summit and Stone Limited. The property itself is not yet definitively sold to a new owner. Deed transfer, final buyer remains in limbo. Because the note change occurred, the original auction was canceled. We knew that. What happened next, whether another auction, negotiation, sale to Haas, or something else, is still unclear. Haas still intends to pursue acquisition and argues for preservation as he sees this as a community effort. The broader concern in the paranormal local community, the house might end up in the hands of focused purely on profit, high-ticket ghost tourism, and become inaccessible to the general public or academic paranormal researchers. You mean as it was when it was a private residence? And Haas and supporters are trying to prevent that. I still am. I'm not on board, Adam. I'm unfortunately I'm not on board. Okay, I'm just that's where I am at this. And just see if I can find here. So the question is, I was wondering, is anyone making money off the money that's still in the GoFundMe? Because there's about $350,000 in the GoFundMe right now. Based on available public information, there is no documented evidence that someone is currently profiting from those GoFundMe funds in the sense of diverting them or personal gain or taking profit before the stated use property purchase is completed. The campaign language affirms that the funds are for purchase, and if the purchase doesn't happen, the donor's money is refundable. That said, the real world mechanism, LLC ownership, property management, revenue generations, etc., are not fully transparent. And I think that's important, meaning that the future financial benefits, either to Haas, his associates, or others, is definitively ruled out by public disclosure so far. So, and what also remains unclear is that while the statement says no profit, it does not fully disclose the detailed contractual structure. For example, how the LLC will be structured, who will own it, revenue flows, etc. Some comment threads raise questions about this. The campaign's outcome depends on whether they win the auction or otherwise acquire the property. Since the mortgage note changed hands, the original planned auction was canceled and altered. Even under the no profit claim, running a property like this with tours, investigations will incur costs, maintenance, insurance, licensing, etc., and possibly revenue streams. The question of who controls and benefits from those streams is a lot less transparent. And now those are the things, and I get this is like just, they kind of rushed into it at the beginning of October. So it's like I understand that there wasn't a structure in place. But now we are nearly 2 months into this, and there isn't any sort of to anybody what Jason's plan would be if he got it. And I don't know. And am I asking too much, I wonder?
No, but within your statement that, this a place to preserve for preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not how the state of Rhode Island is looking at this, or they would have moved in before any auction or anything else and had it preserved as a state historical site to have open to paranormal investigations and give it state revenue. Obviously,
Yep.
Rhode Island doesn't feel this way. It's
Yep.
going to end up in a private ownership. Sorry, folks, you're wasting your money.
It's a very good point that it's never been recognized by Rhode Island as a historic landmark. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that people shouldn't be able to enjoy it or still, but it does still lead to a lot of questions. And I don't think this is going to end well for anyone, to be perfectly honest.
Nope. It's going to be private ownership and you're going to have to pay out the nose to get in there.
Yeah, I think so. But time will tell. And those of you who are donating, don't let us stop you. Do what you want with your money. But as always, I just say, please consider going to the Anderson House. You've been hearing the commercials, supporting the local haunts because they need help too. Folks, we're running out of time here. I really enjoyed tonight. Adam, as always, thank you. And thank you for that and very cool information about your investigation tonight. That's awesome. That was really cool. We'll be back Monday. And we might be talking a little Doctor Who since the anniversary of that is Sunday. Everyone, have a fantastic weekend.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me in